What is up, YouTube? Dots Gaming here, and today I'm bringing you guys my next Fireside Chat podcast for the Elder Scrolls Online. So it's been a while since I've done one of these. I'm actually restarting this week all the series I haven't done in a while. Fireside Chat, Dungeon Guide, Battlegrounds. I'm getting a lot of the old series that I started and never really, that I put a pause on for a while, and actually getting all those started back up. It's been a lot of work prepping for Elsewhere. Been posting a lot of builds and a lot of other guides. So some series kind of fell at the wayside, but I am happy to bring these three back, and I hope you guys are excited for all of them as well. For those of you who do not know, Fireside Chat is like a little podcast I try to do once a month. Obviously, I haven't done that the last, I think, month or two. Maybe it's even been 2 or 3. But I try to do it at least once a month on various topics that either people suggest. So if you ever have a suggestion that you want me to talk about, please leave it below. Or it's just anything that I come up with if no one suggests anything. So then I'll basically just kind of have my points over to the side now. Now that I have my new graphics, I'll have them over there. And I just chat and talk about, ESO specific stuff and what's coming up and my thoughts on certain things. So if you have any topics that you want to ever see me talk about, please put them below. This is a very unscripted video. I only have my comment points over there, but otherwise I pretty much just talk off the top of my head, and we just have a conversation and just talk about various ESO topics. But this one is something I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit now, and it is how I think ESO, let me say what my exact title is. I believe it's just going to be like ESO's future in 2019 and beyond. So for those of you who do not know, I did visit ZOS HQ a couple weeks ago for the Elsewhere testing, Necromancer, Elsewhere the Zone. So I was there with a bunch of other content creators and other people from the community, and we went and we got to sit with the devs for a couple days, and we got to play the new chapter, test the Necromancer, ask them questions, give feedback. It was it was one of the best experiences I ever had. It was incredibly fun, and it gave me a new outlook on the game, and especially the game's future. So I felt that this was a perfect video to make now, right after that trip, with Wrathstone being released, Elsewhere coming. So I felt like this was a perfect time to make this video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that, like I said, with the new chapter coming, right? What are my thoughts for 2019? Beyond, what do I actually think? I think that the game's future is incredibly positive. If you asked me this at the end of 2018, I would have had a much different answer. I was not happy with the way the game was going, the direction of certain balance decisions, the way that the game was trending, the way things were being handled. Just for me personally, I thought the end of 2018 was, to be blunt, kind of a shit show for the game. I felt like Murkmire was just like a huge debacle, with especially PvP was, with all the movement. I know some people loved Wolf Hunter. For me, it was my least favorite patch since I started playing. I hated it. And the game for me at the end of 2018 was trending in a really negative direction, and I was actually beginning to look to other games to try to also play in addition to ESO, because I was noticing that when I played ESO 4 or 5 times a week, I was getting really frustrated. I was getting annoyed. I wouldn't end my streams happy. I would just be like, deep sigh type deal. But ZOS made some changes that I think were for the better. They made a couple of dev changes that I think have impacted the game in an extremely positive way. Brian Wheeler is now in charge of the combat team. Gilliam, the rogue, is now getting way more of a say within the combat team, and I've noticed, at least in my opinion, that the combat decisions, the plans, things that have happened and things that are happening moving forward are just night and day from what we were seeing at the end of last year. Especially the Wrathstone racial changes. I know some people don't like them. I know some people hate the Wrathstone racial changes with a passion, but to me, I thought it was some of the best balancing this game's ever done. To have the PvE Magicka races be within 200 DPS of each other, when we're talking a parse of 61,000, and even to have the stamina races be within, I think it's a 1 to 1.5K of each other, again, We're talking 61,000 DPS, be like 61, 62. And I don't remember the exact peak value for the stamina parses. But still, to have them be that close with how many factors go into a game like ESO is incredible. And it is a testament to the new balance team and to the new combat team. And in my opinion, it was really, really well done. We could argue flavor passives like the Bosmer stealth passive until we're blue in the face, but I'm talking mostly impacts on combat. And I think this was some of the best balance changes that the game's ever done. And for me, it was like kind of like a glimpse into the future. Like this is their first balance patch with Wrathstone. This is how they did, and I thought they did great. So it makes me very positive for when larger balance changes are going to come for Elsewhere and for future patches. The dungeons in Wrathstone were also incredibly fun and incredibly interesting. To me, Wrathstone was like the, hey, we're here, we're ready to party kind of patch from ZOS, where they are like pushing their game as hard as they can in 2019. And I have to say, especially after sitting down and talking with the developers and their plans and their thoughts, and me and the other creators saying our opinions on the game and listening to their feedback, I'm positive. I'm very, very positive, and I wish that people could have sat and watched the conversations and watched the dialogue back and forth. I couldn't be any more confident for the game in this year. And I know, again, some people are like, oh, I'm angry or whatever, but I don't know. Me, after going there, after talking with them, and after listening to the plans for the future, I am incredibly excited for this year and what they will be bringing to us. And I'm very confident, especially from what I've seen in Elsewhere with a lot of the changes. I'm very positive. A lot of the projected changes I think look very, very good. Obviously, they were all subject to change, and they may have changed from when I've been there, but from what I've seen, a lot of the changes were good, and especially the Necromancer class design. Oh my god. Oh my god. It is such a fun, well-designed class. It was just a blast to play. Everyone that was there, whether they healed, whether they tanked, or did stam or mad DPS, everyone said that this class blows the Warden out of the water in terms of just like fun factor and how it was like upon release, especially. And they you can tell that they've learned from the mistakes of the past, and that the Necromancer is just a really well designed, really fun class. Elsewhere, the zone with the dragon attacks, really, really fun. It's just, the trial was also really good too. No more mini trials. We're moving actually into a full Mauve Lorcage-esque trial, and Mauve Lorcage is my favorite trial personally. And to see a trial that very much resembles it and just kind of has that kind of the feel to it, to me, is an extremely positive thing. And it's just been positive thing after positive thing after positive thing, and it makes me very, like I said, very confident for the game's future. And ESO, and I said it at the end of last year, that ESO had a really good opportunity for 2019. World of Warcraft is bleeding players right now. That's not a secret to anybody. Blizzard's been murdering their own game. And so I've said at the end of last year that ESO is poised for an opportunity of insane growth if they play their cards right in 2019. And that's kind of like my biggest thing here, is that if the Elder Scrolls Online, if they continue to release good changes, if they continue to release good content and just continue to move the game in a positive way, they are poised for such a growth opportunity. Because you guys know how it is. We're all MMO players here, right? When you get into your game, you play that game until like that game drives you away, basically. You know, until that game makes enough changes that you're just like, I can't take it anymore, I'm done. And that's when you finally look for alternatives and you leave. Otherwise, if you're enjoying your MMO, it's your MMO. That's the game you're going to play. So a lot of people who maybe tried Elder Scrolls Online back when it first released, you know, let's be honest, it was a shit show. And then now, where the game is now, completely different game than it was on release, right? Maybe people tried it when it first came out. They said, screw this, it's not good. They were playing their normal MMO. Let's say it's WoW for argument's sake. Now WoW is just going straight into the dumpster. And so they're like, okay, what other MMOs can I play? I see, you know, Lots of people are playing ESO, been hearing it's improved a lot. Let me go try it out. And then people start playing it and they're like, holy shit, where's this MMO been? And it's again, it's a little trickle effect there. And again, with all with the mass exodus coming out of WoW and the people looking for the MMO fix, ESO is poised for a great year if they continue to play their cards right. And I think it's such a good idea that they brought the Necromancer and Dragons, two things that have been very highly suggested and desired by the player base for a very long time. They're pulling that out in one chapter. I think it's a really smart idea. It's a way to get to just blitzkrieg people with just like content that they want. I think especially if looking to next year, if they follow that up with some sort of like Skyrim-esque chapter, we'll see some explosive growth in the next 2 years. Or they could even possibly do, if we learn more about Elder Scrolls 6, we could also possibly maybe see a content release with ESO that is similar to what we'll be getting from Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe they release like the same type of zone or a similar zone from Test 6 into ESO. So you play through Test 6, and then if you want to continue that experience, you hop into ESO. Just, random ideas. But it's things that they just need to, I think, keep doing what they're doing right now from the start of this year. If they just keep going, and I think the game is just really poised for a huge amount of growth. But does that mean the game is perfect? Of course not. No, of course not. And I know one thing people are going to argue is balance. If you've played an MMO for any amount of time, you should know two things. One, the game will never be balanced. Two, balance is subjective. You have some players who think this is super balanced, this is really good, it's fantastic. And then you have other people that are like, no, this is terrible, or no, this is overpowered. It's just, you'll tend to never get everybody to agree on a balanced change. It just doesn't happen. So I'm not going to even talk about that in terms of like things that need to happen. The big things that I think need to happen, bug fixes, which I was told that there's going to be a huge amount of bug fixes coming with Elsewhere. Like they told me they could just make a patch notes with literally just bug fixes. There's that many coming. So that's a good thing. Very good thing. Hopefully it's not like one of the jokes where it's like fix a piece of the code over there, 10 things break over there. So hopefully, especially like the combat bug from PvP, like something like that, we see a lot of the trial bugs that have been plaguing that community, we see fixed. So a lot of the really big ticket bugs that are kind of screwing up the community right now, I really hope that those get fixed with Elsewhere, or even just like moving forward. Those big ticket bugs really need to get fixed. And of course, performance. I've talked about performance in the past here on my YouTube channel. I've talked about it on my Twitch stream. Balance patches will come and go, but performance and bug fixes are what will shoot a game in the foot. And ESO has such an interesting, intricate combat system, PvP, PvE. It is a blast to play, but I believe it was Jack who said it. Those intricacies go away when you start to lag, and you have to play and act completely differently than you would want to or intend to because of lag and performance. And from what I've talked to them about, and I know to some this is going to sound like hollow words, but there are they know that performance changes need to be done. And of course, when I was there, I had to especially stress Cyrodiil performance. Cyrodiil is such an advertised part of the game, and especially Primetime Vivek, it just fucking goes in the shitter. And I know that was one of their hopes with the new campaign system and the alliance locks, that would help maybe spread people over the campaigns, really help alleviate performance. And I've had some discussions with other players about that, and while I do think that will help during primetime, the alliance locks maybe have a negative effect during off hours, but I don't want to really get into a full alliance war debate here, and I don't want to start that. And the faction locks, everything, that's not what this video is about. But theoretically, the new alliance thing should help with PvP performance. IC being its own campaigns should help put less players in the campaign. So I don't know if those things will be enough, though. They're obviously good in theory, but in practice, will they be enough? And I think that they need to monitor that. And if it's not, they need to seriously look at it. And I mean, obviously, again, I know that they know it, but I think I just always want to stress how important I feel performance and bugs, like making those, like, the bugs is fixed, bugs fixed, and performance as good as possible is, those two things will kill someone's desire to play a game. It just will. And the Elder Scrolls Online I love it. It's an amazing game. It's so well designed. It's so fun. And to see things like that just kind of hurt it stinks. And I do think, too, that the potential new changes that we might see with the CP system might help as well. In case you don't know, they have stopped raising the CP cap. 810 is the max usable CP, and that's it. They're clearly looking to do something with the system. And I do think CP plays a role in the game's performance. This isn't going to be a whole performance discussion. I just want to hit this last topic. CP, I definitely think, plays a factor in the game's performance, because if you notice, there's a huge difference between especially Vivec Cyrodiil and Sothisil Cyrodiil. I've played both campaigns at Poplock. Sothisil runs infinitely better, still not amazingly, but still runs infinitely better than Vivec. And the huge difference there is CP. Obviously, because the game has to do so many calculations with all of those players in an area that it's just like everything just comes to a standstill. So hopefully whatever changes they make to the CP system, whatever those might be, maybe will help alleviate some of the calculations that the server has to do, thus increasing performance. But again, my whole point of that discussion is just that I think, again, bugs and performance are big things that they need to continue to look into, and they need to continue to fix moving forward if they want their game to have the explosive growth that I obviously know that they want. They are coming out with all of this amazing content. They're coming out with all this amazing stuff. You want people to get hooked in by that, get hooked in, play, and then when they get to their end game, be able to enjoy all of those end game activities without some of the BS. Without some of that stuff, be able to fully enjoy the end game activities. And we all do, but there are some nights where, your patience gets tested by certain bugs or lag. And if those things are alleviated as much as they can, as much as they're able to within the confines of their hardware and their systems and whatnot, that's when I think when things will be really, really good, and you keep your end game crowd, player retention's really long, more people subbing ESO Plus, buying crowns, etc. And overall, it just leads for a better community at the end game, more players end game, more money generated, and better reputation. But that's my take on it, guys. Elder Scrolls Online looking real good for 2019, and I'm incredibly excited to see what the Q3 and Q4 patches are going to be. I can't even say just how happy I am with the direction the game's heading in, the state of the game right now. It's just, things are just, they're just going in a good way. And I think that ESO is poised for one of the best years of its life in 2019. And if they continue down the right path, we'll continue to see that growth, I think, bleed into 2020 and the years to come. But I want to know what you guys think. Please let me know in the comment section below. Obviously, I know this can be a pretty heated topic for certain people who may not like the game. So please keep the comments civil. Please keep them respectful. Don't bash. Don't hate. If you do that, your comment's going to get removed. So just be good. But I still want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comments below, so please let me know what you guys think. Do you think they need to make certain changes and certain improvements in certain areas? Do you think the game is heading in a great way, in a bad way? I'd love to know why. If you guys enjoyed this video as well, please leave a like on it. And then to keep up with the rest of the Fireside Chat podcast, as well as the rest of the ESO content I have here on my YouTube channel, please hit that sub button as well as hit the bell to keep notifications on. If you guys want to see written guides, please check out dotsgaming.com, the newly revamped dotsgaming.com. Site's looking majorly good, so go check it out. And if you guys want to support me and my channel, multiple ways to do it. Check out Patreon. Tiers start out at as little as $1. And if you guys want early access to all of my YouTube content, hit that join button below the YouTube channel. You get a badge for yourself in the comment section, and you'll get early access to all of my content here on YouTube. So I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching this today. I really appreciate it. Look forward to reading your comments. As always, I'm Dots Gaming, and I'll see you all in the next one.